But continuing on from last week, if we get some background noise, Mrs. is having a bath and it's through that wall. She's been a bit noisy. So what we've got is looking at being in flow or losing track of time. So let's read this. Have you ever spent what seemed like half an hour in great conversation with someone, only to realize 3 hours had actually passed? Or have you ever opened a book shortly after breakfast and a little while later noticed the room was getting darker? In those moments, we're doing something we love, just for the sake of doing it, rather than focusing on the end result. We become so absorbed in what we're doing, nothing else seems to matter. We lose track of time and enter the state of flow. Some people call it being in the zone. So when you're doing something and like you're consumed with it, you forget that the way I like describing it is you forget that everything else exists and you're just very present in that moment with what you're doing. Some people will have this when they're surfing is a really good example. I know a lot of surfers do that. They're just in the waves and just disappears. Meditation is something that a lot of people will use, focusing on breathing. For me, honestly, at the moment, creating these videos does it. I get lost in them. I have so much fun doing them, and I just genuinely get lost in doing the videos and get lost in the process. And it's exciting. It's fun. It can be teaching. It can be reading a book. Harry Potter books probably used to do it to me when I read those, and you're just like, read them all day and you'd be like, man, I haven't been reading these at all, because you're just so lost in the moment and what's happening. So that's what this is talking about, that sort of feeling of flow. And if you don't remember anything right now about what that is for you or has been for you, just have a think about what it has been in the past. Again, going back to when you're a kid, when you're really young, like me being a little kid, it was snails. Like I'd go around and collect snails. I just do that all day, and it would feel like nothing. It just feel very normal. Walking around paddocks was a big one for me. Going through creeks, picking up rocks, throwing them in the creeks, building random stuff, climbing trees. They're all things that are very flowy sort of things for me. Make me very present. So yeah, I don't know what it is for you. Just have a think. Those moments have potential to make our lives richer, more intense, and more meaningful. By noticing these moments, you can discover a lot about yourself and your interests. Describe or draw something you did recently that made you lose track of time. Could have been reading an intriguing book or blog, being part of a super interesting event, or making creative videos. I didn't even read that beforehand, but this is something that I recommend doing now. So if you've got a pen, it doesn't matter what sheet of paper is, just write it down, draw it, whatever it is for you. You can write it, describe it. What's something that you've done recently and you've just been lost in the moment? I pull it the beard. I decided I wasn't going to cut my hair while we're locked down. If you're watching from outside New South Wales, Victoria just went into their lockdown because 100 people have been sick. Not even 100 people are in hospital. We've decided it's a good thing to shut down everyone's business and not let us leave our homes. That's where we're at. So while that's happening, I just decided I wasn't going to shave or cut my hair. So it's probably going to get a bit scruffy, but that's just, I don't know, something random I thought I'd do. But in flow, what are you doing when you're in flow? Like I said, for me, these videos that I'm doing at the moment, they're probably keeping me sane, to be honest, because I love doing it. I really enjoy doing it, and Corona jokes. It excites me, and I'm excited about the prospect of what it could be for other people later on. Like I love getting sent videos from clients that I've got now of their kids having me on their TV or their projector or phone or the laptop, whatever it is, and they're training with me and I'm not there. And it's like, that's a really cool thing. That's like really, that excites me. I think that prospect excites me. So I don't know what it is for you. It could be writing, it could be drawing, it could be art, it could be music, playing an instrument, But whatever it is, just write it down, describe it. They are very, very good things to be aware of. So I'm going to move to the next bit now. All right. Oh, no. Oh, I'm not a big fan of this chick, but I'm worried about her anyways. Right. There are so many wonderful, unique things about you. You just need to find them. Now, they've got a segment in here about Lady Gaga, but I don't like. Look, I respect that she's worked very hard and she's done well in her career, and that's been really good. But, yeah, I don't know that I agree with some of her beliefs, but let's have a look about what she says. You have to be unique and different and shine in your own way. The person who gave the world these words knows how to practice what she preaches. Lady Gaga creates her art from her own individual uniqueness and has never tried to fit in with those around her. She not only embraces herself, but she urges others to do the same. She understands being different is a gift. It's a wonderful thing. Imagine if she had compared herself to other artists and decided not to take those incredible risks with her art. Imagine if she had blended into the crowd. We wouldn't have the wild, inspiring, embracing, encouraging role model. She's not. Just don't call her a role model. We have now. She's a great example of what you can do when you set your mind to something and you work super, super hard and you just tweak your process slightly as you go. 100%. Brilliant example of that. I would not ever look to this person as a role model personally. I just strong beliefs in really not constructive areas, and it comes through in her art that she produces, which it is. She produces art through songs and music and lyrics, but there's some very powerful symbols that she puts in there that can be very, very dangerous and very damaging. So I would not personally look at this person as a role model, but there are still some amazing achievements that she's done, and she should be acknowledged for that. She has done some incredible, incredible achievements. Imagine if you blended in too. We wouldn't have the real you, and there's only one you. And I agree with that. Those things that they were saying there, being different is awesome. It is so cool. I think I'm so happy that I'm different and weird, and most of the things I do, people look at me like, what the hell is he doing? But I love it, and it's me, and I think that's a really cool thing. For whoever it is, who you are is 150% good enough. In fact, it's amazing. Even if you feel like you walk a different path than others, embrace it. You're an adventurer in your own life. So never feel like you have to follow someone else's map. Your uniqueness is your greatest gift. Show it, love it, share it. Make yourself proud. And I think that's a really important thing. Find out what's unique and individual to you, and allow it to expand, allow it to grow, allow it to become something else. Because this whole idea of squashing yourself down or conforming or being like everyone else or doing things that everyone else does. This is why I personally hate school, because I think it trains people out of their individuality. Everyone's got to wear a uniform. Everyone's got to sit in rows. Everyone's got to sit in lines. If you want to ask a question, you've got to put your hand up. Everyone's got to do the same test. Everyone's got to do. I don't like that. I just think it's wrong, and I believe everyone has. It's wrong for most people. I think some people school's really good for, and that structure. But a lot of people it's not, and there's better ways to go about it. That's just my opinion. So I think identifying what's unique about you and what's what stands out for you. What's something about you that you love that you think no one else has got, or that no one else can do, or maybe in the way that you do it, and just expand that, grow into it, become more of that, because it's a cool thing. It's a good thing to be able to do. All right, let's go to the next bit. Right, I will talk through this quote because it's Einstein. Good person to quote. I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. Albert Einstein. I love Einstein, and I think he's one of the greatest minds and curious minds to have lived, and I think is it's amazing. Einstein said um, he like failed at school. He was horrible at school. I think he said school, not education. School is the end of imagination. It's because once you start going to school, you start being told about where the boundaries are, um, rather than being passionately curious, as I guess he'd say, and just what if this, what if that, asking these questions. I mean, that's why I love, for me personally, looking back at what I did with a kid and how obsessed I was with snails. Like, they're snails, but I used to go around with a little wheelbarrow and fill it with snails, and I just go searching for them. I don't know why. It's a very weird thing, but I was just curious about them. I loved looking at them. I liked picking them up and seeing them go back into their shell, and then two little eyes come out and look around like they were sort of feeling, and then watch them crawl, and the shape of their shells and the swirls on it. I mean, I don't know why that was what I was sort of attracted to, but I think that curiosity, it feeds imagination, and that's the most powerful thing we have. Our imagination is easily the most powerful thing we have. So if you've got the I don't know, if you can keep being curious or find ways to be curious about stuff, it's a very powerful tool, in my opinion, and I think it's a really important one as well. So, what can you be curious about? Whatever it is, I think at the moment in Australia, anyways, a good one to be curious about is just all right. Let's go with this one: licenses. Why do you have a license? Why do you have to go out and get a driver's license so that you've got a piece of plastic that says you can drive? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have lessons and anyone should be able to drive. Definitely not. I think it's good that there's restrictions around it, but why is it that system? Why not just go to a driving school, do an intensive driving course for a day, and be able to drive? Why not, I don't know, go ride horses? Why not, why do you need a license for that? And when you adhere to that license and the rules, what does that mean? What are the other rules behind that? Why in some countries are guns really popular and you're able to go to like a Kmart or Walgreens or whatever, what do we have here, Woolworths, Coles, and buy a gun, and then in others they're taken away. In some countries they're foundational and part of the fabric of their nation. They're to be used as a defense mechanism against tyrannical governments, so that governments can't oppress you and kill you or force you to do things like medical experimentation, which came from the Nuremberg Code which was happening during the Holocaust when the Jews were being experimented on medically by the Nazis, and then it came out as a world thing, that just the Nuremberg Code. And I encourage you to go and learn this because it's not taught. Unfortunately, I didn't learn this until very recently. It's a worldwide thing where governments are not allowed to enforce. No one's allowed to force any medical procedure on a person without their consent. And that came from the Holocaust and the millions of people that were murdered and experimented on during that time period. And it's just very interesting what's happening in the world these days and why that is all of a sudden no longer relevant. There's just I just think it's really good to be curious about these things. I'm not saying anything's right or wrong in that regard. I've got my own beliefs, and you probably don't have to hear me say it directly, but they're good things to be curious about. I think being curious about family structure, being curious about the marriage structure, being curious about religion, being curious about the schooling system and the setup. Why is it there? Where did it come from? How long has it been in that form? What was it originally intended for? Same about money. I think being curious about money and those systems are enormously important. What gives money its power? Why does it have that power? What's its history? Why is it that house prices can go up 15% one year and then drop 25% the next year and then go up 30% the next year? Why do housing crashes happen? Why is it so hard to get a loan for a house? How do you maneuver the game, which it is, it's just a game, so that you're able to use other people's money to make more, being banks' money or investors' money or whatever it is. Like, how can you go to sleep and then wake up with more money than what you went to sleep with, without having to go to work? Like, they're good things to be curious about. They're good things to wonder. How can you make money while you're sleeping? I think that's a great thing to be curious about. But oh man, being curious, asking questions, constantly asking. The coolest thing about little kids is they just keep asking questions. And I was that massive pain in the ass kid, and I never stopped asking questions. I was always, always, always asking questions. And my dad had a couple of responses for it because he didn't have the answers a lot of the time. But he said, when you go to high school, study physics. It's all physics. That's what he used to say. It's all physics. So I went to high school and I studied physics, and I didn't find a lot of the answers I was looking for. Or it came back to religion for him, have faith and those things. And I believe faith is very important. I believe physics is amazingly interesting, and there's a lot to be learned from it. But I believe curiosity above all is the most important. If you find ways to be curious about things, you will never experience boredom in your life. You just won't. If you're always curious, you cannot be bored. It just doesn't work. And boredom is one of horrible emotion. And I think if you're not bored, then you've got so much more control over your life and the direction, what you actually want to do. But be curious. Ask yourself, anything that you do in the next 24 hours. This would be my challenge for you if you're watching this. In the next 24 hours, just take a notepad, so just a little one like this. I've got notepads bloody everywhere. So this one's got finance stuff and different ideas and random notes and crap that I write down. Take a notepad for everything that you do. Ask yourself why. Wake up in the morning. Why? Why'd you wake up? Because I slept. Okay, but why didn't you die? Why are you the one waking up and there's so many other people that just don't that morning? They died. Why did you wake up? You don't necessarily have to come up with an answer to these questions, but they're just cool things to ask. I'm hungry. Why? Why do I feel like I need food right now? It's time for breakfast. Why? Why is now the time for breakfast? It's time to go to sleep. Why? Where does that come from? It's, I don't know. Just ask questions for everything. Just write them down. I think that I haven't done it, but I'm actually excited about this. I think that would be one of the most interesting things to do. Every single thing you do throughout the day, ask yourself why and write it down in a notepad. See what you come up with. I think that'd be interesting. Anyways, I'm out. I'm tired. Why? It's been a long day. I've been making a lot of stuff. So I'll see you guys on the next one.